Welcome to another episode of ShrinkTank, brought to you by the Dynasty Self-Help Podcast. Join us while Jeremy and Richard help Kyle self-actualize in a complicated multi-copy IDP league, Shark Tank 2. Here we go.
We're back.
Took a little break. You can see I took a shower there after I had some breakfast, so my beard is adding some layers of water to my gray shirt.
My wife doesn't like it, but I don't.
Or if you're just tuning in, I just worked out real hard, so I'm sweating because I work out real hard all the time. But anyway,
Panic stricken.
I have now developed a strategy for this league, and now it's time to implement it. What am I doing? I'm going to target a few key players, and then I'm going to kind of figure out some players that I feel like are undervalued, and I'm going to just bump them a little bit more than what I would. And I'm going to keep dropping this peg, and I'm going to monitor the percentage of money that's remaining in this league. So I started to do that. I'm going to move over here to my board. You can see as I started going. Okay, so here we are. I have now gotten to where I'm putting in bids every day. Here we are on the 11th. I win a bunch of guys. Corey Davis, Chris Carson, Cameron Jordan, Ben Roethlisberger, Joseph Linval, or Linval Joseph, excuse me.
I got it right there.
I'm starting to pick up some players that I really like on the list. Guys that, their counterparts were going for 200 or 250, for the true studs at that position, maybe even higher. But I'm getting Noah Fant and Mike Williams for 157. Okay, I could get behind a couple of potential studs for those kind of prices. Yeah, Mike Williams might be a dud. He may not be there, but we're going to see what he is. He's basically not had the full 3 years in the league that he should have. He's really got 2 years, and he's flashed. He's played some good football. We'll see what happens there as that team rebuilds. So Teddy Bridgewater, got him I'm pretty sure he's going to sign somewhere, and I was dead on right that. So now I got another starter quarterback. So I'm pretty good at quarterback now. I've got Roethlisberger and Teddy Bridgewater and Nick Foles and Gardner Minshew. I mean, I'm not going to lack for being able to start quarterback. And you can see I'm just picking up a few guys here and there. Like now I've gotten a lot of my studs. I really like Max Crosby and what he can do. So I go a little bit heavy on him, and I start picking up some of these receivers. And I know a little bit extra for the receivers. Got another one of my favorites in Dallas Goedert for tight end. So I got two of my top 6 dynasty tight ends here with Goddard and Noah Fant for long term. They're just guys I really like, and I think I don't have to mess with that position much. It's not a high value position in this league. The higher scorers, sure, just like any position, you can have an outlier like Kittle. But the payment you have to make for Kittle, is he really worth it? The answer I have is that no, I'd rather have Noah Fant, who could be up there in the top 3, or Dallas Goedert, who could be up there in the top 6, and just call it good. And, if I miss out on that 100 points a year because I don't have the number one, I'd rather make sure that I have, no matter what, I'm not missing out on the 100 points because I'm playing the bottom of the waiver wire or having to trade for somebody. You can still see I'm thinking, okay, I've realized now that the way that people play cornerback is still kind of crazy. They don't pay much for quarterback because they want to go try to find rookies or bad players because they get targeted more. And the more you get targeted, the more opportunity you have to score points. So it's like the opposite of what you would really expect. Your cover corners, you're really top-notch Byron Jones type guys. There's a reason why I got Byron Jones for $26 in that first week, and that's because I'm silly and I overpaid for the guy. Am I? Is it an overpay? I've still got some fundamental questions with that, especially derived around the fact that these rosters will be extremely limited. So these people that folks are going, I'll just go on the waiver wire and find this guy. I don't know that the waiver wire will be as populated as one would think, right? So now you've got the waiver wire, and it's limited to practice squad guys, maybe a few guys. Maybe there's a guy that's buried on a depth chart that injury gets him up there. But your waivers, they're going to be bupkis most years. People who have a guy that they think might need a shot on a team, that guy will get drafted. I mean, all the shares of defensive end from Dallas Cowboys that's been fighting the drug tests here. What's the name I'm looking for? Give me 1 second. Randy Gregory. So Randy Gregory's not even reinstated. He has.
You didn't even jump in to correct yourself now that you've had months to think about this?
He's got.
No, did you notice? I'm pretty sure I paused it and looked that up.
Oh, really? Movie magic.
I saw a little clip in there. I'm like, I bet I did. Like, I'm like, oh, Randy Gregory, there's a pause button. I gotta go look that up.
I don't know. He was really great back. I think it was 1964. Let me just think if I could just remember. Yeah, it was clever. Watch out for that, folks.
Mental issues, and weed has been his way of getting around that. And whatever your opinions are on that, pro or con, that's just the way it is, and it's kept him off the field. So will he be back? And if he is back, is he going to be successful? People are making bets on that. I mean, so you got guys like that literally aren't even on a roster right now. People are going to have on their teams because of how deep these rosters are. So I'm going to go back through it, and you can see kind of what's starting to happen here. Now I'm picking up players. And on the 13th, Dante Fowler, $14. Is he going to be good or not? He's been re-signed now, and that's a good spot for him. I got over here, I'm getting a few cornerbacks, but this is a lockdown corner that's getting older. This is a young up and coming. This is an old guy. I got a mix of guys on my team that should see heavy targets, but I'm kind of focused more on the cornerback position as I want to see that you're going to be on the field for a few years. I think that the cornerback position just depends on the team and the team situation, and you can have a bad cornerback that never gets picked on because teams just run against them because their offensive line is so bad, or excuse me, their defensive line is so bad that they can't stop teams' run games. So you may have a corner that's terrible that would normally get picked on that you don't see in that category. So I'm just going to spatter cornerbacks, and for the pennies on the dollar you can pay for them, super easy. And I start grabbing a few of my backups that I think could be great handcuffs. Royce Freeman, I think, is a pretty good deal until Melvin Gordon signs, right? And then, I got some of my guys I'm really looking at. Hayden Hurst. I really like that pickup. Got him and like what he can do. I think that could be a top 12 tight end for the near future. Got some of my favorite safeties. Darnell Savage. I got some more safeties here a little bit later. But we're starting to get where people's money's running out. So here we are. We've still got a month to go of waivers. And you can see these prices. They're $5, $20, $7, $3, pennies. TJ Logan. I didn't even know who it was. I just bid on him thinking there's no way I'm going to get this guy. And then I went, why did I even do that? I wasted 12 cents. Wish I hadn't done that towards the end, but hey, I got a guy in. If I need to fill my 65, there's at least a player there. So mistakes made, yeah, sure, but 12 cents. Jordan Phillips, thought I got to kill at D tackle. Well, he's going to be a defensive end now. So am I going to get a steal for him? I don't really know. Another one of these lockdown corners that's getting older. I like that body type. I like that play type. He'll get targeted, might still get some pick sixes, and those are worth a ton in this league. Kyle Allen for $3. I mean, we're all thinking he's been signed now. It's possible I might be able to get him or get him to start for a team. That could be pretty phenomenal. One of my favorite backups for this coming year, Latavius Murray, Zach Cunningham, great linebacker, inside linebacker there for Houston. Boom, I'm starting to get some value. I mean, Sammy Watkins for $5. Let's put it this way: if you can put him in there and he has 4 boom weeks this year, and you just start him every week, he'll probably finish as a top 36 wideout. So why not, right? Even if you don't happen to hit him on every one of his weeks, like. He's just the kind of guy you just leave, park him, let his variants come in there and help you out. So Brockers, meh. Beasley, meh. I mean, that's before the big Diggs trade, so it was a pretty good pick right there for me. Eric Armstead, I feel like that's a steal. Frank Clark, I feel like that's a really good play. I'm starting to get some of my depth tight ends. Gerald Everett, I think, is killer right there. Loved this back when Robert Quinn was a defensive end. Not a defensive end anymore. Bummer. But you're still seeing we're in March 22nd. We've still got, another 30 days, 20 days worth of bidding to do. I'm getting Ioannidis, $8. Von Bell, one of my favorite safeties in this draft. Taylor Rapp, another one of my favorite safeties. So I've gotten 3 of my absolute favorite safeties and paying $10 for them nonetheless. Gerald McCoy, I think that for $4, that's a guy that can give me a couple good years. Hoyer, I mean, what if he starts, man? It's $1. What if he starts over there for New England? I got plenty of time to figure that out. Westbrook, Matt Judon, I mean, Judon's killer. He's positioned, sucks that they put him in there as linebacker instead of defensive end, but when he was defensive end, he was killer. He's going to be a lot worse as a linebacker for me. But you're starting to see, okay, I'm getting some players in there. Some are good, some are great, some are mediocre. We're starting to fill with some of the mediocre stuff, right?
Sheldon
And then I
Richardson
got
for 4.
offer over here, picked up Philip Lindsay. Well, now I have both the backups for Gordon, right? Philip Lindsay and Royce Freeman. Um, so I really like where I'm at there. Philip Lindsay for $10. People were paying 170 for him at the beginning, thinking he was going to be the lead dog in Denver. Getting Clowney for $5. Sheldon Richardson, 465. Hargrave, $3. Now I'm getting some steals. Now this is where everybody's kind of blown all their money and players are just cheap. Trevathan for less than 4, Whitehead for $1.20, and Marcus Williams. I mean, that's a starting safety for the Saints. I mean, we'll see. They've invested a second-round pick in him. I think he's going to last for a while. Vernon Butler, good D tackle. Taco Charlton, meh, but 50 cents, man. I mean, you're getting players for nothing. So you can see I'm starting to get some of my guys. $2 for Raquel Armstead. Another,
Look at those
I
up
like
there.
AJ Bouye because he's not all that great, but he gets a lot of play. He cheats a lot, so they're going to throw to him, and he's going to get at least interaction on the ball. Got me Raekwon McMillan, which I think that's one of those. Yeah, he's played through some injuries, but for 59 cents, that guy could be a starter stud. When filled in, Robert Tanya has a chance of starting this year. We'll see how that all goes.
Went
And I'm
pretty
just
good.
starting to fill in players, getting my team the way it works. And then, so here we go. We're finally caught up to this day and age, right? So now you've seen what happened in all these prices. You've watched them just drop and drop and drop. And I'm able to get a lot of value at these positions and get depth to where, here's my current team and what it looks like. Let's see.
Good TV here.
Okay.
Mark.
So I got, quarterbacks. There's some players there that could start. My running backs. I mean, I got Joe Mixon leading the pack. I really like what I got there, like we talked about. And I've got some guys that could end up starting. I picked up Travion Williams just in case the Joe Mixon holdout goes. Maybe there's some value there. I got some players I really like on my wide receiver roster here with Mike Williams and Darius Slayton and Chris Godwin. And Corey Davis could still pan out to be something. D.D. Westbrook's no slouch, and he should get some better run here moving forward. My tight ends are great. Everett and Fant and Goddard and Hurst. Got some good back-end talent there with Oliver and Schultz. And then you get into my defensive lines and defensive players. I mean, I've got depth. And you see these scores and the way things are working, right? That's a lot of what I pay attention to.
Just comparatively
So
to
Gardner
that
Minshew-
team next to you, they have 40 players or 41 players, and you've got
for quarterbacks,
the full
372
list
for
there.
starters. Again,
Jeremy Strine.
injury
He's a good
shortened
player,
season.
too. He's good
But
on
then
it.
you come and look at some of these
But
defensive
he
players,
didn't have any money.
and
He had to wait until
you've got
waivers.
250, 269.
But
You got 230.
you can see the
285,
point scoring like
295.
I'm talking about there.
The
They're kind of
defensive players across the board.
they're wild, right?
Your
There's
better
so
ones
much
are going to be scoring in
that
and
you
around
can get from
300.
these players. Like
Your
I'd rather
offensive
have an
players have the
opportunity to
ability
start
at the
a
quarterback
variance
and
of
the running back
players
position
than
to
to
score
try to
much
get that one
larger than
stud.
that. And maybe you get an outlier
Cost of a
guy who
stud's
has a
20%
16
of your
sack
budget.
season, J.J. Watt type crazy season, or Aaron Donald. Those guys can get up there to those numbers too, but they're going to be few and far between. And in the meantime, you're going to have some guys that can fill the rosters. So now I've got Zach Cunningham as my main starter here. Zadarius Smith is really an edge rush linebacker, but he had a lot of sacks last year, so that makes up for it. Sacks are worth a lot. But really, Devin White, Zach Cunningham, probably my two main starters here with hope that some of these edge rush type guys like Bradley Chubb and Zadarius Smith, like those kind of guys, Matt Judon, can end up producing some sack numbers that give me some high scores. And then you got your safety position where you can find some safeties to get you 10 points a game, 8 points a game if there's a waiver. There's not a waiver, and you got to start two of these guys. So I made sure that I finished this with what I felt like was, 5 or 6 starters and a few good backups. And I'll probably end up leaving that. I'm going to end up keeping that many safeties. And then I've got, these are just a few guys that ended up, I know I may end up cutting some of these, but, there were values. I was able to snag them. Robert Quinn's probably not one I'll cut, and Tajay Sharp not one I'll cut. But maybe we'll see, or I'll trade them away in package deals. But all in all, now we're done. This gets us through our rookie draft and brings us into real time. Now I'm starting to get people saying, "Hey, I'd like to consolidate my players. Here's some trade offers. Maybe I can buy a guy from you." I'd like to get into some of those individually.
All right, so that, like I said in that video, that must be to real time. So I did the history, and now we're like all future videos will be either the day something is happening or a recap of a week or just whenever I get a whim. But everything else is going to be time frame moving forward. You'll get real time type stuff.
Yeah, and I
Yeah, I
think
mean
that
we
the tendency there when you're reviewing kind of the end might be to, even for a listener, for you watching it back might be, oh, that was a hit, that was a miss, whatever. But essentially what you did there was you had the money left over, which allowed you to essentially get your pick of filling out your roster before everyone else. Even if, even if it wasn't the cream of the crop talent, it was still, it's like, it's a deeper initial, um, waiver. I know that waivers in this are not deep. They're very shallow, in terms of, the talent that's left, but with still a good amount of starting talent left, you got to choose that before basically everyone else.
And yeah, and that was kind of the strategy that I ended up realizing. I can, if I bid these pennies, and there's a few guys I missed on that was like, I have some hindsight. I wish I just spent 15 on this one linebacker. I only put 12 on, but I would have missed on 2 or 3 of these other guys. So who knows? You can't be that looking over yourself in a negative light, but it happens to us. So it's something we got to talk about. Um, but I tell you, the very intriguing part about looking back over the roster and doing the evaluation is you know understanding that did you follow your process, like along the lines of what you just said. Were all the players hits? No, they're not going to be. Did you have some good ones? Probably, yeah. But did you follow your process? Were you true to your process? And in this case, after the first 2 to 3 weeks of the draft, I did. I was real bad at the beginning, auction actually, rather than draft. I was bad at the beginning. I didn't follow much strategy. I didn't know what I was doing. But by the time I developed one and I followed it, I was very happy with the results of following it. I did what I wanted to do.
Do you think you would have done that had you not been working with your psychologist here throughout this year?
I've always been process driven. I think it's helped me a lot though, working with Jeremy and doing the show. Like some of the things that I knew I was doing are not exactly what I thought I was doing, right? Like I know I'm doing this thing, but hearing more definition onto what I actually was doing in that event and processing it slightly more and thinking about, okay, this is an active choice that I'm making, as opposed to seeing something with my eyes and, oh, that guy is so good at football. Actually, why is he good at football? Like what is the reason? What is the rationale? And putting more of that into focus of what I'm doing. I've been able to really fine tune those parts of my game.
Yeah, or even just putting what you're thinking into kind of verbalized words is something that we all should do at times in life. That's what it's challenging your own assumptions, and that's kind of what a lot of Dynasty self-help is about. Uh, it's a lot what this is about is tracking that and putting it more concretely rather than going with, oh, like I just know he's good. Okay, like we can do evidence, or we can just say like, okay, what's leading to that conclusion? Is it things you've seen? Is it your spreadsheet? Is it a gut feeling? Is it because you know his name, or you don't know his name and you call him Joseph Linval all the time?
Uh, Good old Linval. Me and LJ, we go back so far. I actually know his name in the wrong order because see, he changed his name later
You
in
mean
life. He
JL?
actually, well, like I said, I enjoyed the experience of going through these. again, and looking at this, because some of this roster goes away, like some massive trades happen, and it's amazing how fluid these Shark Tank leagues are. So strategy of getting a bunch of good players that I could move later. I knew it was going to be successful. I did struggle though when it came time to, all right, I'm allowed to draft 85 and I got to cut 20 of them. I don't know these defensive players well enough. So we'll get into that later when the hesitation that I have.